Punjabi Dalit fiction is finally getting the spotlight and begins with Gangrene, a powerful new collection bringing real, raw stories from Punjab to a wider audience. But this isn't new. Writers have always dig deep into caste realities, telling stories from villages and towns that are often ignored. Together, these voices are opening up to a new chapter in Indian literature.
Navdeep Singh sits quietly, holding his first book. It carries years of effort, but the moment still feels unreal. Growing up in a village where books were never part of the everyday life, becoming an author was never the option. This collection of Punjabi Dalit short stories is more than a personal milestone. It is an attempt to bring long silenced voices into the literary mainstream.
So actually, so coming from the community itself, so my reference to uh, Dalit community came through Prem Chand. So when I read Kafan in the department, and therefore I became aware of the gap that where is my community and how is it represented. So that was the initial inspiration. So we had stories. Then of course we looked up, and there were Dalit writers and dozens of Dalit writers who were writing stories and poems. So then, of course, when I came in contact with Sir, of course, the idea took a concrete shape, and we came up with this anthology. Of course, to fill this gap, that Punjabi Dalit writing also stands a chance to represent a large community. So that was the.
So the only thing that I wanted to, of course, uh, as 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 teachers of Indian literatures, we felt that Punjabi Dalit writing has enough corpus, and not only a sizable corpus we have, and that corpus somehow is not visible to the outer world to that extent, and so this corpus we found very rich, and we found that it has that variety and heterogeneity of experience, and that needed that kind of a limelight and exposure. And so we thought that uh, a translation of these stories would would actually be a, of a journey of a kind, for personal journey for both of us, and also that that we as we come from the region, we thought that we would have that kind of a, we have that onus on us to bring this corpus into limelight, and to a bigger audience. That was the point.
And of course, Chandigarh becomes the catalyst because you meet SC people from Himachal, you meet SC people from Haryana, and you end up telling each other like, how's the situation in your state. So of course, then of course, stories give you that representation.
Right, and why short stories?
Uh, One is that of course the corpus is larger in short stories. There are only a handful of autobiographies, and one has already been translated and published by Oxford, and so yeah.
And also, one is that uh, for autobiography, you have a different kind of a experience that one has to have. Uh, for instance, in Marathi Dalit writing, you have this autobiography as almost a kind of a default genre. It's a chosen, it's a preferred genre. And people say that in Dalit writing, whether you're writing autobiography or fiction, the mode would remain autobiographical, because obviously everything stems from the personal experience. So we found that in Punjabi, the that kind of experience is, the Dalit experience is rather is fractured. It is not, it is dissipated. It goes in different directions. And for an autobiography, you perhaps you need a very sustained and relentless kind of a build up in one's, and there's a build up of anguish and anger, and it's relentless. You need acute levels of deprivation, sustained humiliation, bouts of humiliation. All these things happen in, there's a discrimination. There are bouts of humiliation and shame also in Punjab, but those levels that you require to write an autobiography are missing in Punjab. Punjab has a very complex configuration of cultural experience. So in Punjab, we found that uh, that there are multiple discourses of emancipation, and they compete with each other. There's a discourse of Sikhism, there's a discourse of Dera culture, there's a discourse of Marxism at the level of ideology. Of course, nationalism is an overarching kind of an impulse. So, and then there is this promise of prosperity that Punjab offered at a point of time. Then there are possibilities of going abroad and going to first world greener pastures. So these things make Punjab a very distinct kind of a landscape, and this is, I think, is fertile for short story. Where, because when these discourses of emancipation begin to compete with each other, and so, and one, the anger that you have in Marathi, for instance, that anger which actually which actually becomes very virulent. In Punjab, it is missing. In Punjab, it goes in different directions. But the anger is there. But this anger becomes subtle. This anger becomes, far more microscopic, so to say. And for this, I thought we personally felt that short story is the form.
And of course we intend to continue this project. And if we talk about the numbers simply, of course we have represented, because if we take stories, we represent more authors, we represent more communities, we represent more ideologies, which is not possible in an autobiography. So we talk about Valmikis, we talk about Ravidasiyas, we talk about Adamis, we talk about even tribals, the tribal communities that live in Punjab. So yeah, like short stories represent more.
So that spectrum is covered of the Dalit population in Punjab.
The choice of short stories is deliberate. These narratives move across villages, towns, and shifting identities, capturing fragments of lived experiences rather than a single continuous life. They speak of caste, labor, migration, and survival, but often in quite understated ways. Punjabi Dalit writing does not always erupt in anger. Instead, it reveals discrimination through everyday moments, subtle, persistent, and deeply embedded in both rural and urban life.
Punjabi Dalit fiction began rising in 1970s, shaped by movements like Adi Dharma and the ideas of B.R. Ambedkar. Early voices grew into writers who exposed caste realities in rural Punjab. Unlike Marathi Dalit literature, known for its urban anger and Dalit panthers, Punjab stories often reflect spiritual strength along with struggle.
मैंने कहानी आज से तकरीबन 90 के आसपास लिखनी शुरू की। और जब मैंने कहानी लिखनी शुरू की तो मैंने देखा कि मेरे आसपास जो लोग हैं वो कैसे एक दूसरे से इनर कंट्राडिक्शन करते हैं, कैसे वो लड़ते हैं, कैसे झगड़ते हैं, कैसे उनका जो एक दूसरे के साथ व्यवहार होता है, वो मैंने अपनी कहानियों में पेश किया। और वो लोग थे मेरे आसपास से, जो लोग थे बहुत सारे दलित लोग होते थे, दलित औरतें थी। वो मैंने वो देखा भी वो उनकी जो इनर कंट्राडिक्शन है वो कैसे उनकी सोशल लाइफ में आती हैं, और मैंने वो कहानियों में पेश की। और जैसे वो कहानी मेरी कसूरवार कहानी है एक, और एक कहानी मेरी आदि डंका है, एक मेरी कुंभी नर्क कहानी है। कुंभी नर्क मेरा एक कहानी संग्रह भी है जो कुरुक्षेत्र यूनिवर्सिटी के एमए सिलेबस में पढ़ाया जाता है। और मैं बहुत सी कहानियाँ दलित इशू पर लिखी है। वो ऐसी कहानी नहीं मैंने लिखी जो मेरे पहले कहानीकार थे वो कहानी लिखते थे खेत मजदूर और ज़मींदार लोगों की कंट्राडिक्शन, शोषण की। परंतु मैंने जो कहानी लिखी, मैंने वो दलित लोगों की जो इनर कंट्राडिक्शन थी वो धर्म के लेवल पर भी थी और इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन के पद्धर पर भी थी। मैंने वो कहानी लिखी। वो कहानी जो इनर कंट्राडिक्शन दलितों की थी, जो दलित कन्वर्ट हो जाते थे और कास्ट में, उनका क्या व्यवहार दूसरे लोगों पर था, मैं ऐसी कहानी लिखी। ये कहानी पहले पंजाबी कहानी में नहीं लिखी गई जो मैंने लिखी।
At the heart of many of these stories lies a deeper question: can one truly leave the past behind? Characters attempt to rebuild their lives, to move forward, but memory, family, and social identity continue to shape them. The conflict is often internal, where the desire for change clashes with the weight of belonging. In these stories, the past doesn't disappear, it lingers.
There's a story, but this is called, we have translated as the roots. In this story, there's a protagonist who has spent some time in the first world, and he comes back and he comes back to open a vihar here because he's influenced by Ambedkar and his conversion into Buddhism, and he thinks that that the gospel of Buddhism is the way out for Dalit emancipation. So he comes here, he acquires certain land there, he opens a vihara there, but the village is village of the Ravidasiya community. Now Ravidasiya community is very well anchored community in Punjab. The family of the protagonist also is, they are also, very die-hard Ravidasiyas. So when he proposes, when he opens the vihara there is almost a kind of a skirmish. There is a fist fight, and actually he suffers a scar because they say that in the land of Ravidasiyas we will not allow even a vihara. So the family insists that please do not try to create another parallel discourse here. We abide by Ravidasiya, and Guru Ravidas is a part of the holy canon. He is a part of Holy Guru Granth Sahib to that extent. So he is torn between these two choices, whether to follow the path of Ambedkar or Buddhism, or to go by the family tradition of being a Ravidasiya in that sense. And eventually, a photograph is given to him which he places in the book of Dhamma. And whenever he opens the book of Dhamma, the photos of Ravidasa also stares back at him. So he's lost. There is a photograph of Ravidasiya, and which is ensconced in the book of Dhamma, and he's opened that book. So there is a Buddhist discourse, there is a photograph of Ravidas, and so what I'm saying is that this conflict is rather too subtle, and both Ravidas as guru and Ambedkar as political icon, both are needed for a comprehensive emancipation of Dalits. But then he's caught between these two discourses.
As Punjab changes, so do these stories. Education, migration, and global opportunities have opened new doors. People move to cities, even abroad, stepping into different worlds. But caste doesn't simply vanish, it adapts. In new spaces, it becomes less visible, more subtle, yet still present. These evolving realities make the stories not just relevant but urgent.